Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a nice 12-game Major League Baseball slate. Hopefully everybody did good yesterday. It does look like all the weather issues today will be very limited, so there shouldn't be any delays or rainouts. There could be a slight delay in Boston, but that's pretty much the only issue. With that said, before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It really does help the channel a lot. Really do appreciate it. My core plays today are Ketel Marte, Gunnar Henderson, and Luke Raley. Let's get into our pitchers, though, first. So we're going to start with our P1 options. We have Clayton Kershaw and Framber Valdez as our two P1 options. Both of these guys are in really good situations. They have a lot of good upside and have a great matchup here. Some good P1 alternatives are Luis Castillo and Merrill Kelly, who face tougher matchups, a little bit cheaper, though, and do have some good ceilings here. And they have pretty high floors as well, I should say. As for our P2 option, Tyler Glasnow is my top overall option. Despite the fact that he's going against Oakland, who's won 7 straight games, he's been really solid so far this season. I like his upside here. Some alternatives to him is Yuri Perez for Miami, Michael Wacha for San Diego, and Ben Lively for Cincinnati. Ben Lively is kind of borderline a contrarian option, or a Hail Mary option, but all three of these guys have some good upside and positive matchups, and they're pretty cheap. For some Hail Mary options, Justin Verlander, Garrett Whitlock, and Ranger Suarez are all in very high-risk, high-reward situations, but they do have some upside today. With that said, let's get into our bats. And I really do like the bats today throughout the slate. I think we have good options in most all price ranges for every position, so that really does bode for a good slate. And then there's lots of good stacks you can utilize today as well. But we're going to start with Adley Rutschman at pit catcher. He draws some really good metrics for this matchup. He has really nice upside here, though he hasn't hit the ball all that well lately. He does draw some potential here for a home run. Adley is in a good position here, but he is fairly expensive. Danny Jansen is a good value play if he draws a start. He hasn't hit the ball great this season, but he should be good to go today. And he has really good home run metrics for this matchup. He draws great upside in this one, and he is back from his injury now, so he should draw the start today. You can also consider Tyler Stevenson, Connor Wong, Francisco Alvarez, Mitch Garver, and Jonah Heim at this position, as they all draw decent metrics for these matchups. Then we'll look at first base, and Freddie Freeman is in a great spot today. He's hit the ball really well lately. He's had some really good games. He has home run potential here, and he draws great upside. However, he is very expensive and somewhat hard to roster as a result. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is in play, though, as a good option off of Freddie, as he has been in a slump, but he has home run upside off the charts today. I like him a lot. If he was hitting the ball better lately when it comes to home runs and stuff, I would definitely feel more likely about using him, but he definitely is in play today. But there's a lot of good value plays at this position as well, Justin Turner being one. He has some really good potential here for a home run. The metrics here are simply off the charts. He was very close to being a core play, but there's just too many options at this position, quite frankly. Spencer Steer is also in play, as he has great home run upside in this one as well. He hasn't been quite as good as some of the other guys, but he definitely draws good metrics. He is a little overpriced, though. Luke Raley is the third guy who could also have great home run upside here. He is a core play because he can play in outfield as well, and I think he's a great fit out there with good options to kick in first base. Otherwise, he's hit the ball really well lately. He has home run upside and great potential here. One of my favorite plays on the slate overall. You could also consider Carter Joe at first base. Moving to second base, we have some good options with Mookie Betts leading the way. He's very expensive, but he has home run potential here. He's hitting the ball a lot better lately than he has throughout the season, so I like his upside. And he's a great option, but he's very pricey. Ketel Marte, meanwhile, has absolutely top-tier metrics on the slate. My favorite play of the overall slate. He's also $1,300 cheaper than Mookie, which gives him some utility here and gives him some really good opportunity to be a good play on the slate. Altuve is also in play for Houston. He's a little bit cheaper than Marte is, though he hasn't been quite as consistent as Marte lately, but he has had some really good games, and he draws some really good metrics for this matchup. And then Castro for Pittsburgh also draws great metrics for this matchup. He's also super cheap. He is a bit of a Hail Mary play, but he draws nice situational metrics, and if he draws a start, he'll be in play on the slate. Then we'll look at third base, and this position is very deep as well, much like first base. Lots of good options across different price ranges, but overall, Gunnar Henderson has absolutely just been destroying the ball lately. He's had a home run in 3 straight games, including 4 of the last 5. He has really hitting the ball well, and while he's hitting the ball well, his price has still not come up. It's still $3,700. I don't know why it's that cheap, but he is absolutely in play today. L.A. De La Cruz is also in play as he can play third base or shortstop, just like Henderson, can. Sorry, I'm mixing players up. Henderson and De La Cruz can be a stack, with both of those guys being able to play third base and shortstop. However, De La Cruz is a little bit expensive now, and not as easy to roster, especially in a little bit of a tougher matchup than he's faced so far this season. Ryan McMahon, though, is also in play, though he's a risky option, but he's a little bit cheaper. He also draws good metrics and has hit the ball well lately, so he definitely has some utility, but he definitely feels a little bit risky. Josh Jung is also in play as he's hit the ball really well lately. He has home run potential in this game, and he is worth taking a look at. Then Rendon for the Angels is a borderline Hail Mary play, as he hasn't really hit home runs this season, but the metrics here are extremely good, and so he is worth in consideration, but he's high risk, high reward. And then Cabrian Hayes has hit the ball extremely well. Recently, he had some really big games, even without home runs, so that's definitely going to give him some utility here, though he is a little bit riskier, especially with so many good options above him. You could also consider Emmanuel Rivera, Evan Longoria, and Kevin Newman at this position as well. Moving to the shortstop, we have a lot of the same options with Gunnar Henderson and L.A. De La Cruz, but I do have a couple other options I like today. One being Kiki Hernandez for Boston, who has had some really good metrics for this game. Not really a home run hitter, but he definitely draws good potential in this matchup, and he's been inconsistent this season, but he has good situational metrics. And then Matt McClain, he draws some really interesting metrics. His metrics are actually a little bit better today than Ella De La Cruz's, though he doesn't have quite the upside as Cruz does, though they are similar in price, but Cruz has better strikeout or stolen base and home run potential. You could also consider Rodolfo Castro at this position as well. Moving to the outfielders, we have some really good plays as top-tier options. Mookie Betts, Tatis Jr., Adam Duvall, where is he at? Adam Duvall, and then Josh Lowe. Those are my top 4, 5,000 or higher, which I know Josh Lowe is 4,900, but he's just a top-tier option on the slate, and he's just too cheap for his potential today. Some other value plays here, Ref Snyder, he has some really good metrics for this matchup if he draws a start. He doesn't start every game, and sometimes he gets pulled early, but he draws good situational metrics today, and so he's definitely in play. Luke Raley is obviously a top-tier option here, who I already talked about, and then Spencer Steer as well, who can also play the outfield. I think both those guys are definitely in play. Hunter Renfroe is a great option today as well at $3,700. He's just a little bit too cheap for his potential, despite the fact that he has been up and down this season. He draws really good metrics for this matchup. Outman for the Dodgers also draws some nice metrics here, though he has been pretty slumpy lately. He's had a couple of good games mixed in here, but I do think he is definitely in play as a potential option today. McCutchen is a little bit expensive today, but he draws great metrics for this matchup. His batting average has been up and down throughout the season, but he draws good situational stats and has a nice upside. Jose Siri is also in play for Tampa Bay. If you go with the Tampa Bay stack, he's definitely somebody to consider, as he's hitting the ball decently well the last few games, though the fantasy points haven't been great, and he doesn't have big-time home run potential, but he has some good metrics for this game. And then Connor Joe, finally, he can also play first base. He's a good option today. He's been inconsistent throughout the season, but he draws good metrics for this matchup. You could also consider Taylor Ward, Joey Gallo, Austin Slater, Luis Robert, and Dalton Varsho at this position. With that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.